Hi everyone, today I would like to show you how you can configure your Airflow to send out Slack notification or Slack alerts whenever your DAG fails. And we are going to be doing this on AWS EC2. Alright guys, let's get started. The first thing you want to do is to launch your EC2 instance. You could just come in here, type in EC2 and launch your EC2 instance. You need to create an account to be able to do this. So if you don't have an account, you should just go to aws.com and create an account. Okay, and I've showed you this in my previous videos. Okay, if you don't know how to do that, I will put that video in the description below. Okay, now I'll come to launch instance. Okay, now I want to launch my instance. I want to give my instance a name. I will give it this name, Airflow alert Slack on failure. Let me just give it this name. Okay, you can give yours any name, and then select Ubuntu. Okay, and then let us select t2.medium. Remember, if you use this, you're going to get charged some few dollars. It's not really expensive. Okay, now I'm going to select my key pair, and in this case I'm going to use this key pair which I have created previously in my previous video, and I have showed you how to create this. Okay, but basically you just need to click this create new key pair and it's going to do that for you. Okay, and what we can also do right here is to create security groups. So just check this. Okay, and then I think we are good to go. We can leave the advanced details. Okay, launch instance, let that initialize. Okay, that is in the pending state, as you can see it right here. Okay, we can refresh. Okay, while that is also in pending state, let us check this. You can see you have your public IP address that is already assigned. So what that means basically is I can come to this tab, security. I can click on this security groups, and then I can edit inbound rules. And what we are doing right here is we want to add a rule that will allow Airflow to be able to run in this port 8080. We want Airflow to run in this port, and there we will say IPv4 anywhere run. We can access this from anywhere. Okay, and then I will do save rules. So at least with this, we know that we can access our Airflow. Okay, now let's go back to our EC2 and let me go to my EC2 instances. You can see that this particular one right now, it is in the running state. Very good guys. Now I need to still have it checked. Okay, and then I will connect. I'll click this connect. Make sure you are in this tab. Okay, and then do connect. So right now we are trying to open up a terminal where we can install dependencies. Okay, the first thing you want to do is you want to update your EC2. So I'll do sudo apt updates. Don't worry about these commands. I will give you these commands in the description. Okay, so that you don't have to type it, you can just do a copy and paste. Okay, we will do this quickly. Okay, that's done. And then the next thing is I would install pip. Okay, I will say yes. Very good. That should be done in a few seconds. Let's wait for that. Okay. After this finish installation, the next thing we are going to do is to install our virtual environment before we then create the virtual environment where we are going to be installing packages. Okay, so let this complete. We're almost there. Okay, it's almost there. Okay, this one I will just press my down arrow key and then just put it on network dispatch service, and then I will click enter. Okay, That is that. Very good. And then I would now install my virtual environment. I will say yes. Okay. Just click enter. Very good, guys. Very good, guys. Now the next thing I'm going to do right here is to install to create a virtual environment, and that's why you see Python 3-m venv airflow notify venv. That is the name of the virtual environment. I'll click enter. I'll press enter. Now my virtual environment is created. I need to activate it before I install my packages, so I will do source name of the virtual environment /bin/activate. Press enter. You can see right here we are in the virtual environment right now. Very good, guys. Then the next thing I would like to do will be to install Apache Airflow. So I will copy and paste. So I'm doing a sudo pip install Apache Airflow. Very good. That is going to install within the next few seconds. Let's give it some few seconds for it to install. We're almost there, guys. Almost there. Awesome, awesome. Now we have installed Apache Airflow. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is that we want to also install Slack provider, because in this case we're going to be using Slack. Okay, because we're going to be using Slack, we need to install a Slack provider. So I'm doing a pip install Apache Airflow providers Slack. I'll press enter. That should install right now. Okay, let's see what happens. Almost there. Almost there, guys. And then after this finished installation, then we will initiate. Very good. This has finished installation, and then we should initiate our Airflow right now. And then in this case we are going to do Airflow standalone. So I would press enter. So what happens is that Airflow is going to initiate. It's going to be initiated. It's going to create permissions and all of that. Okay. And then we will be able to go in to connect to the Airflow UI. So Airflow is going to create for us a username. You can see the username is admin, and this is the password. Okay, but then let's go back to our EC2 and let us copy, check this, and then copy your public IP. So copy that, and then let us come right to this side right here. And then I'll paste it here, put a colon and put 8080. Remember that the port Airflow is going to run is 8080. So I'll press enter. Very good. Now you can see that we are in our admin UI right now. I mean our Airflow UI page. So now let us get our password. Come right over here, highlight, right click and copy. Okay, come right here, let us paste and then sign in. Very good guys, very good guys. Now you can see that we have all the DAGs. We are able to access the Airflow UI, and all these DAGs that you are seeing, they are the DAGs that Airflow supplied to us by default, right? So we have 46. So we are going to go ahead to create our own DAG right now that we are going to be using for this project. And if we are able to do that successfully, you should see this number of DAGs going up to 47. Okay, But before that, let us use Visual Studio Code to connect to our EC2 instance. And I have showed you how to do this previously in my previous video. If you don't know how to do this, I will highly encourage you to watch my video where I showed you how to do that. I'll put the link in the description below. Okay, you need to check that so that you can be able to follow. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, what is the IP of my EC2? This is it. I copy that, then I would then I'll come right here. I'll change this right here for myself, because this is what is going to help me to connect to that EC2 I've showed you in my previous video. Then I'll come here. What is the name of my EC2? This is the name of my EC2 instance. I'll copy this and then I will bring it right here. I'll delete this. I'll bring it right here. And then my key pair, this is the key pair that I used. It is in my downloads folder. I will save this. Okay, if you don't know how to do this, please, I encourage you to go to that video. I'm going to put in the description where I showed you how you can SSH or connect to your EC2 instance using this key pair. Okay, I've showed you how to do. I'll put the link in the description. Okay, now very good. Now that we have that, we will come over here and then we'll click this, then come to connect to hosts. Now you can see that this is the name of our EC2. It has appeared here because we put the right credentials right here. Okay, so I would click that and then this would connect to my EC2, after which we can proceed with our, I'll click Linux because Ubuntu is Linux, then I'll do continue. Okay, and then you can see right here that we are able to connect. Very good, very good. I'll take this out of the way and then open up this, and then let us open up the folder on our EC2. So I go to open folder, you can see home Ubuntu, then I'll say okay. Okay, and this is going to open our folder on EC2. It's asking me if I trust it. I say check that, then I say yes, I trust the authors. Now you can see that we have all of that right here now. Very good, guys, very good. So now what we need to do is, inside this Airflow, let us create our DAG. Okay, and one thing you should notice that if you come to airflow.config, you can see that our DAGs folder is home Ubuntu Airflow DAGs. That means this is the folder, the directory, or this path. That's where our folder, our DAG is going to be residing. Okay, if you don't want your DAG to reside here, then that means you need to update this path. Okay, but in our case, I want it to reside here. Therefore, I will come to Airflow right here, and then I would create a new folder. I will call it DAGs. Okay, and then I'll come inside DAGs. I will then create a file, and then I'll give it test_pipeline.py. That is the name I want to give it. Okay, now the next thing is for us now to start building our DAG. Okay, now for me to do that, the first thing I'm going to do right here is to do some imports. Okay, for those of you that have been watching my Airflow series, now you should have some confidence in building a DAG or even a task right here. Okay, now I'm importing my DAG, import time delta, datetime, import my Python operator, because here the aim of this project is to show you how to use Slack to send out notification whenever your DAG fails. Okay, so because of that, we are just going to be looking at a very simple task right here. Okay, now what I'm going to do first of all is to create my default args. Now what is this default args doing? I'm saying that the owner is Airflow. Is it depending on past? I'm saying no, and I've explained all this to you in my previous videos. Start date, I'm just picking this date. Email, I probably since I'm not going to be using any email right here, I could just leave this as, say, I could just put anything. I could just say Airflow at, maybe I could just say Airflow at, say, example.com. something like that. Okay, we are not using email right here. So email on failure, I say false. Email on retry. Number of retries, I say it is 2. Retry delay, I'm saying the time delta is 3 seconds. That means that if the DAG fails first time, okay, it's going to wait for 3 seconds before it retries. If it fails again, wait for another 3 seconds before it retries. Okay, so that means that the time delta between 2 retries is basically 3 seconds. That is what that means. Okay, now what we are then going to do is that let us create our DAG right here now. So I'm going to say with DAG, I'm going to give my DAG ID a name. I call it addition pipeline. Take note, it's just going to be a very simple task that we are doing right here. The aim of this project is just to show you how we can send out Slack alert whenever our pipeline fails. Okay, then my default args, I will say it is equals to this default argument. Okay, schedule interval is at daily. Now there is this method right here that you need to take note right here, which is called on failure callback. Okay, let me quickly show you right here. Let me show you right here. Okay, you can see it right here with DAG. This says on success callback. You could also have on failure callback. So that means that on failure callback, that means that if there is a failure, what do I want it to do? What notification do I want it to send? Or if it is on success, what do I want it to send? So that means if you can just put this right here and put the right function and do the right connections, you should be good. And that is what I want to show you today, guys. Okay, so I'm putting this right here on failure callback. Then I'm saying equals to Slack alert. This Slack alert is going to be a function which I'm going to be showing you pretty soon. Okay, and then catch up, I say is false. Okay, as DAG. Okay, so this on failure callback, you can see that I have it as a function. So I'm going to be defining those functions pretty soon. Okay, let me show you what we need to do first. We need to first of all import our slab webhook operator. Remember that we did a pip install the Slack provider, shortly. So now we need to import the Slack webhook operator. We are going to be needing this. Okay, and one thing I also want to quickly show you is that this task that I'm putting right here, it's going to be using a Python operator. I called it this task TSK addition of numbers, and the Python callable, this is going to be a function which is called testing. I'll call it testing Slack underscore notify. Okay, so in that case, I'm going to copy and paste the function right here. And what is this function pretty doing? This function is basically just adding two numbers together. 3 plus 4 should give us 7, and then we are returning that. We are returning A, which is going to be 7. Okay, just a very simple task. Okay, guys, now that is what we have right here. However, we need to define this function, this Slack underscore alert. Okay, now let me copy and paste that right here, and then I can do some explanation for you guys. Okay, so now let's put that right here. So now this is the function Slack underscore alert. Okay, that is the function that is going to be called whenever there is a failure, and that is why we said on failure underscore failure underscore callback. If it were to be a success, you can also do that. You just use on underscore success underscore callback. I'll put the link to this page in the description so that you can also go through it yourself and and read it. Okay, and that's how you're going to be learning. Okay, now if I call this function, I'm going to pass in a context. Okay, I will explain what the context is pretty soon. Okay, now from this context, I'm going to be getting task instance. I'll call it TI. I'm going to be getting task instance.dag ID. That's going to be the DAG name. From that, also from the task instance, I'm also getting the task ID. I call it task name. Then I have execution date. I call it execution date. From the context and task from the context and task instance, I'm getting the log URL. That means that when this fails and it sends notification to your Slack, right, you want to be able to see the URL of the log so that you can click on that and go to the log, you know, and see what is going on right there. Okay, if you also want to see the DAG run, you can also say context.get in bracket DAG run. You can see the DAG run. Now all these variables that I have here, now I'm passing them into this f string, right? So in that case, in this case, I have colon red circle. I call it pipeline field. You'll see what that means shortly. Then I'm putting this asterisk, I'm putting DAG in between. That means I want this to be bold. I want to bold in this. Okay, I want to bold in all this right here. And then I'm passing your variables inside here so that you can see all these variables. DAG name, I'm putting right here. Task name, I'm putting right here. Execution date, I'm putting right here. Okay, now you guys are already conversant with it because this is just Python. Okay, and this is not a Python class, so I don't need to spend too much time on this. Now you can then bring your Slack webhook operator. Okay, now as part of that, you are going to be entering your task ID. So your Slack webhook operator, just give it a variable name, right? And then you give it a task ID. Then we are going to be using HTTP connection ID right here. So give it a name, Slack connection ID, because we are going to be going to the admin section on our Airflow UI to make a connection right there. Then what message do we want to send out? This is the message right here. You can put as many things you also want to put right here. And then which channel do we want to send this to? Let's just call the channel, let us just call the channel this finance department pipeline, for example. And then we're going to be returning Slack notification. Remember this right here. Okay, that's the variable .execute. Then in brackets, you're going to say context equals to this context. Okay, now what is context? So one thing I want you to know is that when Airflow runs the task, it collects several variables and passes these variables to the context argument, okay, on this execute method. So these variables hold information about the current task. Okay, now what am I saying? I'm saying that whenever Airflow runs a task, it usually collects several variables, a lot of variables, and passes these variables to this context argument that is inside this execute method. Okay, so these variables hold a lot of old information about the current task, and all this, as you can see, we are saying context.get. We are getting this task instance, we are getting execution date, we are getting DAG run. These are the variables that Airflow collects. Okay, now if I take you to this link right here, you can see that I think it's right here. Okay, this one, you can see that when you are on the Slack webhook operator, you can see what we call execute right here. You can see execute self context. This is the context that we are talking about. Even on this link also, there is also an execute also right here for these Slack provider, Slack web, as you can see right here. So what happens is that this context holds variables, holds information that we can extract something from. Okay, and that is what we are doing right here. It is by default that Airflow is doing that. Airflow, when it runs it collects these variables. Okay, now, and it passes these variables to the context argument. So that is why we are getting all this information from this context. I hope you guys understand that right now. Okay, now very good. I think we pretty much have everything right here. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is we need to now configure our Slack and create workspace for us to be able to send notifications. So I'm going to save this, okay, and then you need to go to slack.com. If you don't have an account with Slack, go to slack.com and create an account. Sign up with email or sign up with your Google email, okay? Now, after you have signed up, what happens is that if you come, like in my case, I already signed up, and then if I come to slack.com, this is what I'm going to be seeing. So in your own case too, after you sign up, then you should be seeing a place for you to create a new workspace, okay? So I'm going to create new workspace, okay? Remember that the aim of this is we want to be able to connect our Slack to our Airflow, right? So that Airflow can help to send out the Slack information. So we need some sort of connection. So we need a password. We need an app that will help us to send that information. So therefore we need to give permission to that app, okay? So now if I do create workspace, I will say create workspace. You see that it's asking me if I want to go with a particular email address. So in your own case too, if you already signed up with a particular email, just follow this step, okay? Now, what is the name of your company or your team? I'll call it data team. Okay, I'll call it data team, and then I'll say next, and then it's asking me that what is my name. I can just leave it right here, and then I'll say next. Then who else is on your team? I can say skip. What's your team working on? Okay, let me go back. If you like, you can give this a different name, okay? Let me assume I want to give it this name, tuple bandwidth. Let's just give it this name. You can see that as I'm giving it this name, it's also appearing right here, tuple bandwidth, okay? So let me give it this name. If you want to upload photo, you can upload, and I'll say next. Who else is on the data team? You can put emails separated by comma, okay, but I will skip this step, okay? And then what's your team working on right now, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I will say what we are working on is finance department pipeline, finance depth pipeline. You can see right here what's happening. Immediately I put it right here, it's creating a channel for me, okay? And if you remember, or maybe, yeah, I think it's not accepting underscore, so I will just do this. I will just do this, finance depth pipeline. And I think we need to go back to this, we need to come back to this place where we put the channel. So we would put underscore, and this is where the name of this channel comes from. If you have been thinking about it, that, oh, how did I get the name of this channel? So how did I get this channel? So this is how it comes about. So I'm giving the channel a name right here as I'm creating this. So it is from here, okay? You can see that when you have finance department pipeline, it's creating that channel name for me right here, okay? Then I will say next. Now, very good. Now you can see that finance department pipeline name has been created for me, okay? Tuple bandwidth is the name I have. When it asks me for my name, I put tuple bandwidth. My workspace is data team, okay? Now the channel where we are going to be posting our notification is called finance depth pipeline, and that is what we have right here, finance depth pipeline. I will save this. I hope you guys are getting this right now, okay? Now that we have this, okay, now the next thing we then need to do is to create an app that will help us to be able to send out the notification. So I'll open another tab right here, and then I'll put api.slack.com/apps. I'll give you the link to this in the description, and I will say enter, okay? Now, so what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to create an app, okay? I'm going to come right here. You can see I have one app right here which I've tested or used before. So if you have not done anything like this before, so you should not be seeing anything right here in your own case. Okay, but in my own case, I will just come right here and I will do create new app. Then I'll say from scratch. I'll click that. Then I'm going to give my app a name. Okay, so you should also give your own a name. So I'll call it Airflow Slack Alert. Okay, Airflow Slack Alert. That is the name I am giving it. Okay, or I can even say Airflow Slack. I can just just give it anything. Airflow Slack Notify Alerts. Pick a workspace to develop your app. Okay, so now what workspace do I want to develop the app? Remember that we had created a workspace before. Okay, what was the workspace? Data team. Remember, data team. That is where we want to develop our app. And what is our app name? Airflow Slack Notify Alert. So I will do create app. Very good. Now that I have created the app, then yeah, let me just click this. Got it. Then I will say incoming webhooks. Click on incoming webhooks. Then now we want to activate our incoming webhooks. You know that it is off here, so turn it on. When you turn it on, then you are going to say add new webhook to workspace. This we need a webhook URL. So I will click this. When I click that, you can see that it's saying that Airflow Slack Notify Alert. Remember that that is the name of my app. Is requesting permission to access the data team Slack workspace. Where should Airflow Slack Notify Alert post? That means that whatever notification we are trying to send, which channel do we want it to post? You say it requires a channel to post to as an app. So we'll go and select our channel that we want, finance debt pipeline. Okay, which is a short form for finance department pipeline. I will check that, then I will allow it. Okay, I click allow. Very good. Now that we have allowed it, now we have a webhook URL. This URL is very, very important, guys. This URL is very, very important. When you copy it, you can save it in a notepad. Okay, just save it in a notepad somewhere so that you don't lose it, because if you mistakenly close this web page, then you have to produce it again. Okay, and by the way, before I move on, there is something I wanted to show you when I was talking about the context, right? And I was talking about that it collects several variables. These are examples of those type of variables. You can see right here, you can see it says variables. It says the Airflow engine passes a few variables by default that are accessible in all templates. You can see you have DS, TS, you have all these different things, DAG, task, TI, task instance, run ID, DAG run, and what have you. I'll put this link in the description so that you can, spend some time to go through it. Okay, I hope you guys are getting this right now. Okay, now very good. Now that we have gotten the webhook URL, okay, now what do we need to do? Let us go back to our DAG, to our Airflow UI. Now let us go to admin, click connections. Okay, now let us create a new connection. Click this plus sign, add a new record, and then it is asking us for connection ID. So come back to this place. Okay, and then what is your connection ID? Let us look for our connection ID. We call it Slack Connect Con ID. I'll copy that and then I'll put that right here. And then what was the connection type? It is HTTP. And then the next thing we need now is our password. The password is this webhook URL you just got. Click this copy and then come right here and then just paste that. Okay, and then do save right here. Very good, guys. Now that we have added that, okay, what we can then do is that let us come back right here, DAGs, right? Where is our DAG? What is the name that we gave to our DAG, guys? We call it addition pipeline. You can see that. And then you can see right here, you remember that previously when we initiated our Airflow, it was 46 DAGs. Now in the addition of this, we have 47 DAGs. Okay, also take note that it takes about 2 to 5 minutes before your DAG shows right here. So if you don't see yours immediately, don't freak out, stay and wait for some time. And if eventually you stayed longer and you still don't see it, go and debug your code, okay? Or maybe you restart your Airflow server, depending on what you think the problem could be. Okay, so now I'll click on this. When I click on this, I'll go to the graph view. So now what I want to do first of all right here is this. If you look at this function that we are trying to run, 3 plus 4, okay, that is our task. Remember what I told you, we only have one task right here, addition of numbers, which is a Python operator, okay? And that is what you are seeing right here, just to make it very simple, very basic, okay? Now, this shouldn't fail, okay? It should run successful. Let us see. So I'll come right here and I will trigger. Let's see. Now it is queued. Now it has run successfully. You can see the green border like this, success. Okay, if you come to admin, come to xcoms, you can see what do we have here. 7 is our value, right? Why? Because our function is actually 3 plus 4, which is going to be equals to 7. So 7 is going to be assigned to A, and then we are returning that right here. Okay, very good. But what about if we then put, instead of 4, let's make it a string. Instead of a number, let's make it string. Therefore, we should be having an error in this our task, or in this our DAG. Okay, and remember that we said that when it fails, it's going to retry 2 times. The time delta is 3 seconds. Okay, and we said that the message we should be seeing is this message right here. Okay, because we already said on failure callback, run this function slackalert, which is what it is going to do. Okay, now let us take a look at that and see what we got. Okay, and also quickly let us go to our pipeline, to our Slack. You can see our Slack channel, which is finance debt pipeline. You can see that we don't have any message right here yet. Okay, very good. Therefore, let us come right here. Okay, let us click on our DAG. Okay, come right here to graph. Let us check our code to make sure that the update we made to this is as reflected. You can see this 4 is a string. Come back to graph so we can see what's going on, and then let us execute trigger DAG. If it fails, we should be able to get a Slack notification. Okay, you can see this is retrying. It's retrying. Now it has killed. Now it has failed again. It's retrying. This yellow border line, you can see, is the same thing as this, up for retry. Now we can see a red border line, right, which symbolizes failed right here. You can see that, guys. You can see that. Again, before we move on, guys, if you find all these videos valuable, please, I highly encourage you to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell so that you can be notified whenever we release any of our videos. Okay, and as you know that the more subscription we have, the more motivated we are going to be to give you guys more awesome videos. And also, do not forget to like this video, because the more you like, the more the YouTube algorithm, or the better the YouTube algorithm will place us higher in the search. Okay, and also do not forget, not hesitate to share these videos with your friends, with your colleagues, because so that we can have more people benefiting from this. Because when we know that more people have benefited from our videos, that is when we can make more videos of such. Okay, very good, guys, and I'm sure that you guys are going to be subscribing as you are listening or watching whatever we are teaching right now. Do not delay. Click that button right now. Click that subscribe button and click that like button. And also, if you have any question, please put that in the comment section below. We will be glad to answer you. Okay, very good, guys. Now let us go to our Slack. Let us see. Very good. You can see right here, guys, that it says pipeline failed. You can see this red circle. If you come back to our code right here, you can see we said red circle right here and we said pipeline failed. That's our message, right? And then that's the same thing you are seeing right here. What is the name of the DAG? What is the task? Right, you can see that is what we are getting right there. Okay, the name of our DAG is addition pipeline. The name of our task is TSK addition of numbers. All those things are what we are getting right here. Okay, DAG ID, task ID, execution date, log URL. If you come back right here, you can see the log URL. Okay, if I click on this log URL, it's not going to go, but we need to make some changes because you can see this is local host. Okay, so we need to change it to the IP address of our EC2. You see that it didn't go through, but if we come right here to our IP, okay, public IP, then we can just come to this local hosts and then paste that and then click enter. You can see right here, guys, that we can see our logs right here. So that is how you're going to be doing it in the industry, in which case your DAG fails or your pipeline fails, and then you get a Slack notification. As part of the notification that you get, you are likely to see a log depending on how your team have constructed your notification. Okay, so let's assume you have that, then you can click on the log to be able to see what is inside the logs. Then you can see where things failed. Like in this case, you can see it's saying a equals to 3 plus 4, which is a string, type error, unsupported operand type. You can see that, guys. That is how you are going to be setting up your Slack for you to be notified whenever there is a pipeline or a DAG failure. Very good, guys. I hope you guys understand this right now. You can see that this is pretty easy. I'm going to be sharing this code also in my GitHub, and I'll put the link to my GitHub in the description below, and every other links that I have explained also to you right here. I'll also put those links in the description below. Okay, if you have any question, please do not hesitate to put that in the comment section below, and do not forget, if you are still doubting if you need to subscribe to our channel, please, I encourage you right now, subscribe. The more subscription we have, the more motivated we are going to be, to bring out more awesome videos for you guys. And the more you like, the better we are going to be ranked higher by the YouTube algorithm. Also, we need more people also to watch these videos because we want more people to benefit. Therefore, show it to your friends, show it to your colleagues. Let everybody learn and let everybody get better. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.